do it right now. Hi, we're live. We are.
Promoting. Hold on. Give them the spiel, Tanya.
Hi, I'm Tanya. That's Nikki. We are A Thousand Eyes in One, and this is our book club, Wine on an Empty Stomach. Today, oh yeah, I'll show you my wine. Today, I'm not on an empty stomach, and we're talking about Elantris by Brandon Sanderson. I believe this was his first published novel,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a really interesting novel. And I hope that you guys have read it. And if you haven't, I hope you decide to.
I know, sorry. Now. Okay. Yes. Hold on. Almost there. Almost there. It was a long night. It was a long night. I need the link. Yeah, I mean, if you have listened to us at all ever, welcome if it's your first time. But if you have, you know that we are huge Sandersons. Brandon Sanderson, he's my favorite. He just weaseled his way into my literary heart. My fantasy heart, I suppose, is more specific. But yeah, incredible. What's super exciting for me, besides the fact that we get to do this book, because it's a standalone.
For now.
For now, it's a standalone. So many of his other books are part of a series, and that's what makes it hard for us to cover them, because not only are they part of a series, they're like 70,000 words. And,
Yeah.
That's intimidating. It can be intimidating. But I'm excited because this is our entryway and our gateway. And I don't know, a lot of people start with like maybe the Mistborn series, but after you've read all of these books, you can just see how this is just the beginning of the system of magic that is the Cosmere. And you can see, I mean, I'll just say that.
Oh, yeah, you definitely. I'm rereading Rhythm of War right now. And while rereading Oathbringer, there was a callback to Elantris that I have never caught before because I didn't read Elantris first.
Mm.
And now I'm like, man, I should have just I started with Stormlight Archive, which is like his magnum opus,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I should have started at the beginning. After I found out how much I liked it, I should have just gone back to the beginning and started all over. And at some point, I'm probably going to do that. Hey, AK. Hola. Speaking of hola, today is the first day of Hispanic Heritage Month.
Hola.
We hadn't planned for that. We were
But
supposed to do Elantris last month.
Yeah. But we did do Wicked Weeds for Caribbean. And it was a Puerto Rican author.
That's true. We did a 2-in-1.
Yeah. I was gonna say something, but I'm not gonna say. Yeah, I mean, we could sneak in another read, but we're busy because we've got a super excited and packed spooky season coming up, y'all.
Oh yes, oh yes. Be on the lookout for some really fun 30 Tuesdays stuff.
Yeah, every Tuesday in October. It's our new tradition.
We're very ambitious.
Yeah, I think that wanting to go back or have started with Elantris, it's not a book that, like, I kind of, in my year of Sanderson, while he was releasing secret novels, I was reading everything else he'd ever written. And I think I've almost, except for like 2 of the YA series, I've done almost that. And because I was just so thirsty for more Sanderson after Rhythm of War, and I went back and I did the Mistborns, I did the second series. I was just like, I just need more. So I did Elantris, and then I did Warbreaker. And I don't know that I wish that I would have started there, because I don't think it would have made more. I don't think it would have the same impact that it does, having like knowing like where it come from. Because I guess like for me, it's like, okay, this is just like, this is the beginning. And I think kind of going back to say like some of the things that maybe didn't work so well in this book, he like resolved them in other characters. Like I see seeds of so many people across the Cosmere like planted in this book. And for that reason, I really love it. And I feel like no matter what I do, anytime I go back and I read one of the other books in any of the series, and I come back to Elantris again, it's just like, oh, it's right there.
I think one of the fun things about Elantris is that...
Cheers, by the way.
Cheers, darling. I think one of the really fun things about Elantris is it's not as serious. It's a little bit lighter than Stormlight Archive and even Mistborn. So it's easy to get into and read through quickly.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it doesn't feel we're not battling like
for a universe, for our planet.
not for a universe, but I was gonna say like a serious depressive cycle, right? You're like people like there's not suicide and stuff in here, you know, like there's not really a content warning that we have to do besides like people come back from the dead, kind of, you
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah.
other than that, it's not like, okay, I'm going to be grappling with the issues in the depths of my soul. I'm going to be confronting my humanity in a way that is very, very deep and philosophical. This is like, hey, we're here.
Yeah, I think I saw as a complaint that Raoden is just unrealistically optimistic. But that was actually something I loved about Raoden, was that he was just like so ridiculously optimistic. What do you think about that?
I see where people say that. And in that he reminds me of a little bit of Kelsier, right? From
Kelsier
the
was kind of
Mistborn series. But I see people complain about that and I hear that. But for me, I feel like his optimism is really based in I feel like he doesn't always feel that way, you know? I feel like the optimism is a bit of a mask to be like, okay, I want everything to work out and I know if we work together, we can do that. But I think that comes from being very aware of how fucked up existing systems are. And so the optimism is a means of inspiring other people to like want to feel like they have power to change something, as opposed to him actually being super duper optimistic. So do I like his optimism? Yeah. Do I think it's real all the time? No. But I think like as somebody who understands power and society and ways to create change and how to inspire people to be the difference that they want to see in the world, like for that, I think it's really powerful.
So when I first read this in the prologue, they describe what Elantrians are. You wake up as an Elantrian one day. The Shayad chooses you, and you're this glittery, eternal being, and you go on and live in this glittery city, and you live there for eternity. And what absolutely sold me was the very last line in the prologue: eternity ended 10 years ago.
Loved, sold, exactly.
Loved it. Loved it. I think about it all the time. Yeah, I think about it all the time. I loved it.
Just like, okay, what am I getting into? Because his prologues are always epic. You know, it's like if you're not, I challenge everybody or anybody who's wondering how to get into Sanderson, like read the prologue for this book, but like I don't know how anybody can read the prologue for A Way of Kings and be like, okay, now I'm gonna put the fuck down. It's I think one of the best prologues I've ever read in my life.
Yeah.
Like talk about action and stuff. And that's not the book we're talking about, but it's gonna keep coming up. So I feel like AK, you don't even need a bingo card. Just throw it out the window because we're finally in the Cosmere. But yeah, it's just like, oh, wait a second. It's like imagine getting all these, like you wake up and people dream of being like selected to go to whatever. I'm trying to like, you know, the golden ticket and Willy Wonka, the Chocolate Factory, or other, you know, and other stories like, oh my God, this is the thing that everybody wants to be selected for. It's a huge honor, right? And then it all changes.
Yeah. Now when the Shayad chooses you, you become a splotched, undead creature.
Yeah. Your skin goes all ashen and gray. You get dark spotches all over. Your hair falls out. Your body, you feel hungry. A huge honor till it became a curse. Exactly. I'm trying. There's another thing that I'm trying to think of.
Your wounds don't heal.
Your wounds don't heal. So you're in constant pain.
You could just like nick your fingertip and you'll just feel that pain for all eternity.
Imagine getting a paper cut and it just doesn't stop. Just like paper cut. I remember I got one like a couple of weeks ago, and like you watched it happen in real time as like slice when I was trying to open that thing, and I looked at it. I was just like, oh, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're starving, And whatever happens to you once you become once the Sheo takes you, that's it. That's permanent state. You cut your arm is gone. If you cut your finger off, your finger's just gone. And guess what? The pain just never goes away. You're always hungry, even though your heart isn't beating. And it's a very perplexing state of living.
Yeah.
And people give up. Like, they just throw them in the city. Like, everyone is so ashamed. Like, Elantris was this, literally, it was Oz. It was the city, the shining beacon on the hill that everybody came to for knowledge and healing. They were based, the Elantrians were worshipped as gods because they could heal you. They could fix things.
By drawing on the air.
By drawing in the air. They could
Aeons.
they were soul casting, Tanya. They were soul casting. They could turn materials into food. You're hungry. Nobody went hungry. Everybody was fed. Like,
Yeah.
there was no hunger, no starvation in there. So, and it's just like the irony of the people who are like creating and giving so much to this world and making sure there's no hunger, all of a sudden becoming the ones who are starving, right?
The first
And
thing that
unable to
happened.
fulfill it.
Yeah, the first thing that happened when the Shayad hit is that the servants turned against them and started
Build the
killing them.
masters. It happens a lot.
Yeah. And, you know, Elantrians just started getting murdered because they were basically monsters now.
Yeah. You can imagine. And it's just like everybody, and the thing about it is like everybody just knows. Like, once that happens, they didn't even try to understand it. They're like, you're
Monster.
Exactly. Exactly. And then they just they take you, they do the ceremonial washing of you, and then they
basically have your funeral.
Boom,
And you're awake.
take all your shit away, and then lock you into the city with, like, you know, bread and salt. Oh, they throw you into that with a basket of a little bit of like ceremonial wine and some grains of hard corn kernels, and then and bread. You know, and these are all things that are symbolic in their burial and their death ceremonies or funeral ceremonies. And you're like, oh, okay, that's all I got. Meanwhile, at home, they're burning your shit. You don't talk about Bruno. Like, that's what happened. Like, oh, they're just gone, you know? And when we walk into Elantris, we just see the most miserable place you can fucking imagine.
Everything is slimy and dark.
And when Tanya says slimy, she doesn't mean like ill. Like, no, it's covered in slime.
Yeah. It's just
there's sludge everywhere. You know how I was picturing it? You know, like the day you get a really good snow, and then the next day it rains, and then all the cars are driving, and you get that that perpetual sludge that sticks for. I'm obsessed with how my nails look right now, y'all. It gets all sludgy, except in like brown, but I'm imagining the slime and it'll just be like darker than that and just everywhere.
I imagined it as like the train track water if you added gelatin to it.
That's disgusting and AK terrible.
The black mold of it all is creepy. Yes.
Subway track water with gelatin?
Like just a little bit. Or like that like marshmallow hair gel. You know what I'm talking about? Where like you can kind of spread it like with your fingers. And it's not quite putty. It's like slippery. That's kind of how I pictured it, except like made of train track water.
It reminded me of
train
Gak.
track water.
Remember Gak? It was like that. It was like a slimy Nickelodeon thing that, whatever. They had a moment. The worst thing about that visual is that I could kind of taste it, and now it's I was like, oh, it's because you said like gelatin.
It makes me think of something that even rats would stay away from.
Oh yeah, totally.
Because it's just that nasty.
Just watch them like bachata around it and go.
But like you're slipping on it, it's rubbing off on their white ceremonial clothing. It's just like the most disgusting goo, and it's not dirt. It's just like this stuff that appears on the walls, like bacteria.
Yeah, we learned later that it's like a type of algae.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know.
Yeah, that's kind of made what I thought of too, is like when you touch a slippery, wet rock, but like gooier.
And the whole place is covered with that. And you're like covered, like the whole city is covered in this stuff. And if you slip and fall, the pain never goes away. So like people are getting thrown in not knowing this, right? They don't
Right.
know that their pain is not going to go away. They know about Elantris is that it's filthy, and that they hear the wailings and moanings of people who are just like who've fallen into the gutters and given up because their pain is too
Like,
great.
I think about all the times I've banged my shin in the dark,
Girl.
and the pain that hits you when you bang your shin bone, and then imagine it just never going away. I think that was the hardest thing for me reading it, was like,
Oh yeah.
just thinking about like how that kind of pain will just absolutely make you crazy. So I totally understood it.
It's
Let's
like
talk about some of the characters. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, just when you're saying that, like I don't chew gum because I bite my cheeks a lot, and I'm thinking about like when you bite the inside of your cheek, or you bite, like I always bite in here, like lower your
Uh-huh.
lip, and just like that immediate the sharpness of that immediate pain, but that it never subsides. It just stays at that first moment for eternity. Yeah, characters. Let's go.
We have Prince Raoden, the ever
Oh,
optimistic prince, who wakes up one day starving, unusually hungry, gets to open the door for his servants bringing him breakfast, and the servant drops the tray and does like a quick prayer and like runs away.
and we're like, oh shit. Okay.
What happened to him? Because at this point we don't know
we don't know.
what
This is
happened. Yeah.
it's the beginning of the book.
So yeah, Prince Raoden, he gets thrown into Elantris, and his father just tells everyone that he had a death from an illness that disfigured him, and that's why it was closed casket, and we're just never going to talk about that again.
Yeah.
We have Princess Serene, or Serene as they call her
No, we
in
don't.
the audiobook, but I don't like that.
Not the audiobook that I was reading. The new one, I think it's narrated by Jack Sumner. It's Serene. Thank God.
Okay, yeah, Serene. Hrathen,
Right then.
the religious zealot.
Yeah.
And
No,
the
no. That's
blood red
Dilof.
armor.
That's Dilof.
Well,
Dilof is
Hrathen's
the zealot.
Dilof.
Hrathen is he's the artist.
I kind of thought Hrathen was a bit of a zealot too. I mean, Dilof really was definitely worse.
Yeah, Dilof is definitely worse. I think I always looked at Hrathen was kind of interesting to me, because I think maybe when he was younger, he was, and they do talk a lot about like questioning his faith, and it's just like at this point, it's just a job to him, you know.
Yeah,
he's like, all right, I want this to be over. I want us to conquer the world so people can stop dying, because like I've seen too much and whatever. Like I just want to get the job done, and then I can go whatever he does in his spare time. Knits.
Yeah, I guess I still saw him as a bit of a zealot, just because of the fact that he was trying to conquer the rest of the world on behalf of his religion.
Yeah.
And the Gjorn. No, he's the Gjorn.
Yeah, he's the Gjorn. For Worm.
Worm, yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Dilof, as you mentioned, who's like
it's Arteth.
Arteth, who's completely insane.
Like talk about like a religious fanatic, 100 all the way. Like, and the type the type of religious fanatic who was not brought up in the religion but converts, and so they've got this whole other fervor for it. Like that guy.
Yeah.
Danger, danger, danger. Even the first time I read it, that I was just like, what? I was like, I don't know. He said you like the like, the little glint of like fanaticism in his eyes, but you got to be careful with that. We learned from Cersei, did we not? You can't arm the faith militant.
Yeah.
And it's just it's like that. I was always super nervous about him.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out what his deal was for the longest.
Yeah, because he hates the Elantrians, guys.
Like absolutely hates them.
Repulsed.
I guess I won't spoil. We find out why he hates them so much, and I won't spoil it.
No,
because it's not necessary to talk about it. But we do find out his backstory and why he hates the Elantrians so much. What did you think about Princess Serene?
Okay. So what do I think about Princess Serene? It's hard for me to separate her from other characters a little bit. And that's why I say like Serene is one of the female characters who just reminds me so much of so many others who come along the way, specifically Shallan.
I was thinking that.
Shallan and Risen,
Mm,
and yeah, Shallan and Risen a little bit, but then also her analytical nature is just more along the lines of a Yasna, but Yasna with a touch of Cersei. And by Cersei, I mean like thinking that you're smarter than you are and actually confusing things, like not
mhm.
following things all the way through, and like basing a lot of your opinions on assumptions without having all the information. That's her. But I really liked her. Sanderson, I love him for this, gives us strong women characters time after time after time. She's got her own agency. She's a princess. She comes from another country. She knows that imagine Brienne of Tarth kind of vibes too, right? Like
Yeah, because she's
she's a
tall,
tall, gangly one that nobody really wants to marry because
speaks her
she's like
mind
too
too much.
smart, you know?
Mhm.
She's doing all the things that Ursula told us not to. And it's just she's a political creature. She's a political creature, and she wants the best for her people. Her dad's a cool king. She's got her faith, but she understands the enemy, and she wants to keep the energy from happening, or the enemy from taking over. So whatever that means to protect her people, she's gonna do. And she brings along her just like she's just so empowered in a way that you don't see happening with women in this country, like in
Right.
Ireland, right? Because she comes from Teo. But yeah, I like Serene. She reminds me a lot of Steris too, but a little bit less neurotic.
Yeah, definitely less neurotic than Steris. I can definitely feel the Shalanness, except I think she was way more headstrong than like early Shallan.
Yeah.
Shallan, because of her, I don't know, could you call it a mental illness? She
Trauma.
leaves her insecure at times in a way
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
Princess Serene wasn't.
Yeah.
Um,
I think also with Serene, there's a the difference between Shallan and Serene would be the worldliness, right? Like Serene has an emotional maturity that Shallan doesn't have,
yeah.
right? But but Shallan was also sheltered. She never left,
Hmm.
until she left.
And Serene was like a diplomat.
She was a diplomat. She had contact with the outside world. She knew, and she was, she's a scholar. She wants to learn things. We love, we love the nerds in all the books. We love the ones who want to
Yeah.
be in the library. And Raoden and Serene are both, and Shallan and Yasser and Navani are all these people. So thanks, friends. Who else? Galadon?
The uncle,
Oh no, Galadon, the doula.
the doula, he was interesting too. He had his mysterious past that he just didn't talk about, like why a doula would, because it was only people from Arelon who were supposed to be affected by the Sheod.
Yeah.
And he's a doula. And so not the kind that helps with birth, but the place where he was from is called Douladen.
New career goals, PT Dubs. Yeah. And he's from a place where people are if we're talking about optimism, like there are people known for their optimism and extravagance and just flattering ways. And Galadon is not that person.
No,
he's not that person. He reminds me. We're gonna keep combining characters, right? He's got the seeds of what's his name? I was just gonna say Gancho.
Lopin.
Of Lopin, but also I forgot who it was. He's a little bit of Teft and Lopin together, like a little bit dismissive, but like still kind of amiable. And Rock.
Yeah,
Right?
I kind of,
if Rock, Lopin, and Teft were one person, you'd get Galadon.
Yeah, he mostly reminded me of Rock with his words of wisdom and this knowledge that just kind of seems to come from nowhere because he won't tell you about his background.
Yeah. Sule. So I posted to promote this, or just to let people know what was happening. In one of our Instagram posts, I said, "Remind me, Sule," which I don't know, but maybe is a slur in some language. Apologies, because Instagram restricted our account.
Yeah, they completely deleted our account for a couple hours.
Right after I posted that story, and I was just like, "What the fuck?"
We still don't really know.
We still don't know.
That was
actually shout out to Rock. Our sick little letter
Hey.
shirt. I was thinking that for Elantris, it should say Landsick Exiler. But yeah, we're back. So thanks for the follows. Yeah, loved him. Who else should we talk? I want to talk about King Iadon, but I think that we should maybe knock a couple other
Well, excuse me.
key
To talk
casties.
about Serene's uncle,
Hunky K.
Hunky K.
Kaye.
His is a story that never gets resolved. And so now knowing that Sanderson intends to write another Elantris novel, I wonder if we'll get into his relationship with his brother, the king of Teod, because it never gets resolved when we're reading it.
Yep.
And then the short story that followed, it's still not resolved either. They don't even touch on it.
No.
But like he kind of brought up some really heavy things from his past, like some mysteries that, you know, did not get solved and that I'm curious about. And so I'm hoping that in the next Elantris novel that we'll get to the bottom of it.
Was it Kelsey who said that? There's always another secret. I want that on a t-shirt. Do they have those? Like, hello.
I don't know.
Yeah. So I'm really interested in him too. He's such a fun character, and to know that he's like headstrong a bit and not to be fucked with and unbothered, I guess, mostly. Yeah, he's super interesting, and that motherfucker throws down in the kitchen.
He has no
Like
servants.
I was hungry the whole time.
Yeah,
I read it every time he came into the picture.
You know what I kept craving every time he was cooking? I wanted like spicy noodles. I don't know why, but every time he talked about cooking, I just suddenly had a craving for spicy noodles.
It was
now
Ethiopian
I want spicy
food
noodles
for
again.
me.
Yeah. Damn. We should go out to eat.
We should. We haven't been to dinner in a while.
Yeah, we haven't.
Come to New York, AK. Let's go to Buna Cafe.
We also had Rayoden's group of friends that all were plotting to overthrow the king.
I love
them.
oh
crap! I'm forgetting names now.
Shuden,
that's the handsome one that everybody wanted to get with. I
the
loved
dark
him.
skin handsome one that everybody wanted to get with.
Yeah, I loved him.
Anderson has diversity.
Yeah. And I love that he does his slow martial arts, which reminded me of Akata.
Did it remind you of Lan?
Now that you say it, yes.
Yes. But also of Kaladin and Adolin and Vasher and anybody else who practices an art of martial arts.
Yeah, definitely thought about that. I would love to see Shuden. Like whoever they cast has to be so handsome. Yeah.
Like if they hadn't used what's his name already for Dungeons and Dragons, like it would be him, but like a darker skinned version of him. The dude from Bridgerton.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of who. So when I thought of Shuden, I kind of pictured Aldous Hodge a little bit. But the person that I find devastatingly handsome would be Trevante Rhodes.
Hold on, I have to Google. I need characters. Trevante.
I don't know any character names.
Oh, this guy. Yeah. I'm trying to think of what movies. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, he'd be so charming.
Yeah, right?
Oh, yeah.
He has this great smile. It's like you can just picture all of the women just being like,
Totally. Totally. Yeah, so we got Shooting, we got Duke Royale. He's at the opposite end of the spectrum. Equally eligible bachelor, but super duper rich. Everybody wants, like, that's who everybody wants to marry. It's either the old guy with all the money or the young guy with all the charms.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to get married? He's like, I wouldn't call him a toxic bachelor. I would call him a determined bachelor.
Yeah,
to a certain point.
Well, he doesn't want to get married because the women that he's been meeting are just kind of empty in the head.
Let's talk about women Erelon.
Yeah, he basically complains they're all kind of empty-headed and just go along with where the river takes them, and and nobody learns, nobody thinks about anything. They just
Yeah.
like get told what to do and show up with just a purse full of lip gloss. And he meets Lady Serene, and she's headstrong and she's smart, and she can't draw for shit, but she has other
Or
talents,
embroider.
or embroider. But she's really smart and witty and fun to talk to. And yes, AK, he actually wants intelligence, and them girls ain't it. But it's because it's discouraged, not just that, like,
Yeah.
these girls don't grow up wanting to be intelligent. Is heavily discouraged in their
Yeah.
culture.
When you said that, like bad at embroidery, I was like, but she's got her needle. I was thinking about Arya Stark, right? Because she's a badass at fencing. But
Yeah.
she's bad at, but it is discouraged. Aiden has always been like, hey, whatever, girls, just go over there. But it's because his second wife, was a little bit of an airhead. But I think that that's because of society shaped her to just be like, okay, just you go have kids. You go to court, you like gossip with your girls, you have the kids, and nobody ever expects anything else from you. So, and
Yeah.
even if you did want something, like you're not going to get it because of the way that everything is structured. So you just go around, you gossip, you talk about gowns and embroidery, and and these girls are out here doing it. They're like freehanding their designs and like their patterns and like sewing them. But completely differently from how they treat women in other places, right? It just makes me think of like Bear Island or one of these places versus,
right.
How.
And it's funny too,
Sansa
like,
was brought
because
up.
you're mentioning Game of Thrones. It's one of the things that used to annoy me about Catelyn Stark. I know this isn't a Game of Thrones book, but it's connected, I promise. One of the things that annoyed me about Catelyn Stark was that she knew how to be a diplomat and yet still raised Sansa to just be an empty head.
Right.
And it never made sense to me, because you knew the things that you did for your father and how that has helped you and how you're going to use that to help your son. But you didn't put any of that in your daughter. You just wanted her
Didn't teach your
to
kids
show
how to
up.
speak patois.
Yeah. So that always annoyed me. And so in Arelon, it's like all of the girls there are raised to be little Sansas who just don't think about anything except finding a husband. And then once you get that husband, you just make babies and embroider until you die.
Sounds like the worst fucking existence.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they have nannies, so you're not like saddled with them. You guys take that however you want once they've arrived. But
what do you do with your time? You're not encouraged to read. They don't have movies.
Dude, I would get so fat. And I don't think I would. I think I'd start exercising out of boredom.
But even that's not really encouraged, because when they decide to start learning to fence with Princess Serene, it's like, why the hell would you do that?
Well, remember they were there. They go to that ball, and I forgot what the name of the nobleman. He was like, "You're ruining my wife's figure," and she was like, "What?" She's like, "Oh, because he's like, where he's from, they like their girls round."
Yep. And now she's been working out,
and now she's been working it out, and she's like shedding the fat. And he was like, "Oh no."
Yeah. In his culture, they like when the whole body feels like a titty.
Hey,
It's
like
true.
what we like. Yeah. So yeah. I forgot how we got here. Catelyn.
I was talking about Catelyn.
Yeah.
And the girls being raised to be kind of empty in the head and just embroider and make babies until they die.
And the crazy thing about Catelyn doing that, as you're saying, like, obviously this is like a whole other topic, but it's really interesting to get into, because when you think about like how Catelyn was raised a little bit to be a diplomat because her brother was an empty head, and her sister was the lunatic. There's that aspect of it, but like when you're coming to the north, you're not safe. Like the reason that you married Ned Stark was because the old king, killed your fucking fiance, and his dad. And and now you've like usurped that king. So why would you not want to, and your husband was part of it, right? So why would you not want to prepare your children to be able to like, be in court and to be political? Because if you know Robert, you know that he can't stay king forever, right? Like it was, you're right. It's a stupid move. It was a character oversight, but I guess we don't have Sansa's arc without that deficiency.
That's true. We'd have no story if that was the case.
Yeah,
I think the way I would compare it to the women of Arelon is, at some point, one of these women had to have wanted more. And if not for themselves, then for their daughters. And yet it seems like they just passed down this empty-headedness. It's interesting because at this point, the Elantrians have only been gone for 10 years. So I can't even say passed down. But clearly in their society, maybe because the Elantrians had all of the knowledge and
I was gonna say
medicine and everything, it just wasn't necessary.
Yeah.
Like, why would I learn medicine? Yeah, why would I learn medicine if the Elantrians can just heal with magic?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And the thing, the fact that it's only been 10 years, that means like for generations and generations, nobody had to worry about it because like, oh, we'll just go ask them. Bone broken, go ask them. Hungry, go ask them. Like they have the answer for literally everything.
Yeah, you're right.
So yeah, I mean, I get it, but still.
It's like, you don't want nothing. Nothing.
Man, I think I would have run away.
Lose my mind.
Yeah.
I'd lose my mind.
Like as much as we both want lives of leisure, like that doesn't mean I want to do anything.
Yeah, like I want to go out to eat and stuff. And
I want to read books and go
I want to read books and like learn things.
Go pretty places, see art.
I guess they can do all of that. But they seem to lack curiosity.
They lack curiosity. I think that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, because they go to balls and luncheons and all of the social things that you're supposed to go to when you're in that class.
Yeah.
But there's just a lack of curiosity. And then you have Princess Serene, who's just a fucking detective.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, Mary who comes up, or Mari who comes up later in Mistborn. But it's also making me think of
Marasi.
A bit of Marasi, yes, thank you. Of smart. That was his wife that died. Which are a Stormglass, like that society, like the girls they're brought up and everybody like there is a monarchy, but there's a lot of it has to do with money, right? That we haven't explained.
Oh,
this,
right. We have
monarchy is set up on money. It's just whoever has the most money is king. That's how it works. And so if you're super duper rich, you don't have to worry about it. But if your financial situation is a little bit like uncertain, like you could lose your position in the court really quickly.
Like you use your whole title.
Boom, title gone.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. It's crazy.
And everyone talks about how it's not sustainable because if the king himself ends up making less money, he doesn't get to be king anymore, and that's the rules he made.
And then what happens? New king comes and makes new rules, and yeah, it's just turmoil.
A system that makes no sense at all. Although when I was a kid, I thought that the president had to both be.
I'm doing it because I want to start a fight.
I know. I noticed. I've been, seeing and hearing the chewing.
No, not with you. I'm talking. You know that this is a very polarizing candy.
Oh yes, we both love candy corn, for the record. But I always told Nikki not to eat while we're streaming.
Well, you know what else is here? There's a lesser two evils. I'm starving. Yeah, my friend was here yesterday and she's like, "Oh, you eat candy corn?" I was like, "That's all you have to say about it. Don't ask. I'll ask you to leave." I know where you stand. You know where I stand. We'll put that to bed right now. But yeah, no, wild system of governing.
What was I about to say?
But it's interesting also because that means that everybody, all the noble people, you're not diplomats or businessmen, you know?
Oh, I know what I was saying. That when I was a kid, I thought the president was both the smartest and the richest person in the country. Like I thought those were the requirements. Who said you had to, or like you were the smartest and then you became the richest by becoming president. Like that was how I thought it worked. Like nobody makes more money than the president.
Yeah.
And the president has to be the absolute smartest person in the nation. And there's some way that I didn't know about voting, I
Yeah.
was like, there's some way that they just, I was little.
You're like, is that what taxes are?
I was like, there's some way they determine who is the smartest person in the country, and that person becomes the president. Duh.
Yeah.
How did I come to that conclusion? Well, I also thought that the principal of my school had to be the smartest person in the school, because if my teachers were so smart and he's above them, well, that means he must be smarter than all of them combined. And so by that logic, whoever your boss is the smartest person in the company. And if the president is the boss of the whole country, that means he must be the smartest person in the whole country. It made total sense to me at the time. We've since learned that that's not true, but it made sense to me. I also thought all houses cost $100,000 exactly. I don't know, man.
That's very cute.
I really didn't have a grasp on economics or politics.
Yeah,
as a wee one.
It's okay.
I was just an empty-headed Aralon girl.
Man, the empty-headed girlies. Shout out to the empty-headed girlies. It's not your fault, usually. 100% the patriarchy.
It's the patriarchy.
Wow, this time going fast. So we have a king who's really, really rich and makes all the rules, and all he wants to do is get richer. Mm-hmm. He and his son did not get along because he didn't give a shit about the people.
His son wanted to depose him.
And it was open. It was very much open about. He was very much open about it, that he wanted a different system, and so he was meeting behind his back with all of his friends who were also noblemen and with the monies in the court to figure out ways to make the people's lives better without like openly being like, you're a fuck up, you're a shitty king.
Oh, and an important thing about Uncle K was that he was extremely wealthy and refused a position in court, which irritated the king because he was wealthier than a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And just absolutely, he didn't have any servants because of the servant uprising.
Right.
And so he was like, yeah, fuck that noise. I'm not having anybody in my house. I'll just do it myself.
Yep.
And he was rich, but did not care for titles and didn't care for the king. And it just frustrated the king to no end because that's kind of all he had going for him, is that he can decide who he has money and can decide who gets a title. And so everybody clamors to impress him because they want those titles. And Uncle K simply didn't care. And so it was extremely frustrating.
Nope. Didn't care. And I like that about him. He reminded me, I don't know, every time, Emperor's New Groove. Mm-hmm. I forgot what his name, but the character that voiced by John Goodman, Uncle K reminds me of him. Mm-hmm. Every time I see him, that's who's coming to mind. The big guy who loves food, he loves his family, he's at home, like maybe would do a side quest, not doing them anymore unless he has to, Yeah.
This is unrelated, but you saying that made me think. I always picture Dalinar as Josh Brolin.
I would not be
but if Josh Brolin were like Southeast Asian, that's how I picture Dalinar all the time.
My ovaries just fluttered.
Let's quickly go through some plot stuff without spoiling too much. We have the rivalry between Raythan and Princess
Kronk.
Serene.
Thank you. Yes, Kronk.
Yeah, Kronk.
No, not Kronk. Not Kronk. The other guy. Kronk is Isma's minion. Anyway,
so we have the rivalry between Raythan and Princess Serene. Serene doesn't know what he's up to, but she just feels like it's something bad, and he doesn't know what the hell she's up to, and he feels like it's something bad. And so like they're both trying to defeat each other, and so there's all this like back and forth between them. One of my favorite things about her is when she plays stupid in court and just does the dumbest, most empty-headed, just what in the world were you thinking? Oh, right, you weren't thinking. she just sounds so stupid, where it's like to the point where everyone's like, could somebody really be like this? And then you find out, well, we know it's an act, but others find out it's an act later.
Yeah, it's like it's a kind of act that like it was so stupid that it could only be an act.
Uh-huh.
And if it was an act, like, oh my God, is she that stupid? We have to take care of her.
Yeah.
Right? You're like,
We can't let her out into the wild.
exactly. Like keep
She
her
was
in your
she was
sight.
like a puppy, just like a dumb puppy that like
Ugh.
you have to keep from eating its own vomit and like from running into the street and just doing really like doing things where you're just like, come on, man, like have some self-preservation.
Dogs are gross. But yeah, no, she's right. Ian can't even stand to be in the same room with her. He's like, oh my God, get out of my face. Why are you so dumb? Even though he expects women to be dumb and not bother him.
Yeah, he assumes all women are just
You know, and
stupid,
so it's
empty-headed
just she's
creatures.
just giving him confirmation bias, playing
Mhm.
into that. And so yeah, Serene comes in and she's like, all right, I'm bored. Serene, the reason that she came to Erelon is because she was supposed to marry Raoden.
All right, and she shows up and he's allegedly dead.
Dead. Just dead. And because of their
And
marriage contract, she has to
mhm.
stay. She stays. Basically belongs to her father-in-law's family, and she could never get married again.
And she and Raoden had been writing letters to each other and growing to and speaking
Choose
about their aeon, speaking
their
through their
Sion.
aeons,
Their
and
Sion.
I'm sorry, their
Sion.
seons, and starting to actually
Wait,
like each other.
Sions are like floating balls of magic communication devices.
But they're like also kind of servants in a
Also,
way.
kind of. There was a really interesting part where they talk about where Serene and they in this where they call I was calling him Ash, but they're calling him Aishi in this narration.
I was called him
Talk
Ash too.
talk about just the purpose of a Sion, right? It's like they serve because they want to. They're not enslaved, they're not servants. They serve because that's how they fulfill their purpose. That's how they express love. And Serene was thinking like, oh, you know what? No, it wasn't Serene. It was
It was
Raiden having
Raven.
it with his Sion, with his Sion. And they were talking about that, and it just reminded me of so many things just from Stormlight, like the cognitive realm and the physical realm, and of Shadesmar and all these things, whatever. We're getting off of that topic, but there's
I definitely thought of the Seons as Spren, very
right,
intelligent Spren.
so good.
But like, it could run and send messages for her. Like
Yeah,
it's like a living thing. It's not just a
yeah,
telecommunication device. It's like
yeah.
this
It's a
person.
spirit, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's magic.
there's I like Kazama Kazoo. Huh. So yeah, they're married, and now she's married to a dead guy, can't get remarried, and she's like, well, what else can I do here? And
I'm gonna
then
fuck with the king.
I'm gonna fuck with the king. The Yorn comes in, and she's like, wait a second, because the Yorn's from Fyridel. They follow the Dorethi religion. They worship Lord Yada,
Wern.
or Lord Yada, but
Yeah, Yadeth.
Yorn is his
His
apostle,
voice on earth.
like the Pope, kind of. And yeah, she's like, what is he doing here? Because they know that they've been aggressively taking over, like, and deposing kings in other countries because they want it to be reunited under one banner, like, the Fire Nation. And she's like, okay, if he's here, then there's something political. Absolutely epic shit disturber. But she knows that there's something political going on. And so now she's got and that's something new to play with. And I really love them going back and forth at each other. Like if this was another type of story, I feel like eventually they would have like ended up together if it was like a shitty romance novel.
Yeah.
Like there's this tension between them the whole time, and you're like, well, damn, is he really all that bad? And you're like, he just orchestrated like the massacre of like several countries before he like hopped off the boat here.
Yeah. And
So it would
it's
never
like
happen.
and after all that, he's still not as bad as Dilaf.
After that, which reminds me of Zuko actually a little bit in some ways, but yeah, we'll get there.
I think what I loved about the Serene Hrathen rivalry is that neither one could figure out what the other's end game was. They just both knew they had to stop the other one.
Yeah. They're like, wait, why is he fucking with me? Why is he fucking with me so hard? Like, what is up? Like, you're obviously getting your kicks out of like frustrating my plans, but I don't know why. And I hate it, but I respect you as an intellectual opponent and rival.
Right.
Like, that's cool, but like, so they keep trying to like upstage each other. And yeah, I really enjoyed that throughout the whole book.
Yeah.
It was super fun.
Well, I actually don't want to spoil this one.
I don't want to spoil it either. I was just about to say, in summary, read the book for yourself, because
Yeah,
it's
this is
amazing.
one you can talk about without spoiling. Sometimes we do books that like you just have to spoil it, or else you just can't talk about it. But this
There's
is
so
one.
much. There's romance. There's political intrigue. There's fucking violence.
Murder.
There's murder. There's like human sacrifice. There's just all like secret tunnels
through the mountain.
There's those.
I'm glad you got to have that. I'm glad you got to get that out.
My soul feels so much lighter now.
It's fantastic. Yeah. It's a really great story. We have like roughly 10 minutes.
We can talk about it. Well, what else do I have to say? I love the book. I think that it doesn't matter. You look like an angel. Like you have a halo. The reflection on the light behind your head.
I am an angel.
Well, duh. But now it looks like you've been like, I don't know, whatever the thing. You've been deified, yes, or canonized.
Right.
Boom.
Saint Tanya.
Oh Lord, help us all. I'm gonna pray to Saint Tanya, and I'm just gonna like, books are just gonna appear on my wall on bookshelves that I don't have to install. Glory be.
You're welcome.
But I love this. I love this book so much because whether or not you've read anything else by Sanderson, if you read it and then read other stuff, or if you read other stuff and come back to it, you're like, holy shit, this man is a genius. Everything is connected in the Cosmere. And I hope it makes you want to read other stuff. Like it took him a long time to get this one published. I was reading and listening to some things about it. He was talking, this is one that it was a short story that he just brought into workshop, and they workshopped it over and over and over again. And then became the book. And I think like he had to stop somewhere and like start all over. Google is free, use it. But yeah, so I was excited to go back and just become acquainted with his first work, and then just thrilled to see, whoa, this is where it all started.
Yeah.
That's where it all started. Yeah, it's great. It's great. And there are some really powerful sentences, and I think another thing I appreciate about him is about his ability to write female characters well, right? Is that I love how like magic is cool and politics is cool, but I like the way that he interacts with religion in his writing, right? There's all of these questions of faith. They're the people
because
who
he's religious, right?
Well, he
grew up religious.
He's from Utah.
Okay, that's enough said.
Enough said, right? He's from Utah, so I imagine it gets written from whatever. Do with that what you will. But I think that the way that he treats questions of faith, and like, it's not like, oh, well, you need to be this way or you need to be that way. Like he kind of sees like the whole spectrum of religious beliefs. And I like the way that he does that, because it never feels disrespectful to any, like, no matter where you sit, like personally on that on that grid, you never feel disrespected, but you can understand like kind of where everyone's coming from. And I think he always does that well, whether it's, in Erewhon or in Roshar or Gadriel or whatever.
So he followed Elantris with his short story, The Hope of Elantris, which kind of follows up on Raoden and Serene and some of the events from Elantris. And then after that was The Emperor's Soul, which is a novella. Takes place I loved it too. It takes place in the world of Elantris, but not in Arelon, in like a completely different region. And that's a really fun read too. So, look for those. I think you can read The Hope of Elantris on his website.
Oh yeah?
I think so.
I read it.
I think that's where I read it.
Yeah. And I think if you're gonna read like so Emperor's Soul, which could bring you into Warbreaker, right? Warbreaker, or shoot, the one with the Vengeance Blade or whatever. I think it's the Infinity Blades. There's 2 or 3 books in that which also are like loosely touch the world, because that's where you get the God King for the first time before Warbreaker.
Okay, I haven't read those ones.
Yeah, they're fun and they're short, and they
Okay.
get really weird.
I like weird.
There's a lot of world hopping in there that you don't expect. But yeah, that's Elantris. Whew. We talked less about it than I thought we were going to, which is
I
amazing.
know.
Because
I
there's
was
just
actually
so much
worried.
to talk about.
Yeah, I was actually worried we wouldn't be able to do it, but I guess since we decided not to just spoil the whole thing.
Yeah, this was just not a plot summary.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
cool. Which is cool. But we can talk about spooky season.
So we
I
have
pulled up my
spooky
calendar.
season. Oh, we can talk about spooky season and Comic-Con.
Oh yes. Well, let's do spooky season first.
Okay.
We're doing, how many Tuesdays are there again? 1,
I think
2, 3,
5.
4. 5 Tuesdays in October. That means 5:30 Tuesdays. That means get your pumpkin spice, whatever the fucks.
Hold on one
And,
second. AK, which book is what?
Yeah.
I don't know what you're asking.
Please let us know. So October 1st, well, obviously we're gonna make flyers and post these, but October 1st is TBD. It's gonna be either an old time radio episode, kind of like we did last year, or this absolutely unhinged movie I watched on Netflix called The House. And I'm leaning towards that because it was fucking weird and a little scary. Next, October 8th, we've got a Twilight Zone episode.
Haven't decided which one yet, but I'm gonna choose.
She's gonna choose.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. AK said the one you said is not in Aralon, but adjacent. That's the Emperor's Soul.
And you'll like that. And there's 2 of them.
Like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're super short. Yeah.
The
merch for that.
Man. Yeah.
Yes.
I never gave you your stamper.
Oh.
You've come over so many times and I have not given you a stamper, and I'm gonna bring it to you Saturday.
Okay. I'll be here.
I'm gonna put it in my bag today.
Yes.
So Twilight Zone, I haven't decided on an episode yet, and I also haven't decided if I'm gonna do old Twilight Zone, which is my favorite, or pick one from new Twilight Zone. Most likely it's gonna be old Twilight Zone. I just haven't chosen an episode yet. So we have Twilight Zone. The week after that, Coraline,
which Jackie is super excited to be joining us for. My cousin Eddie might join too because she loves that as well.
Okay.
It'd be really fun to have them both on.
Coraline, I really enjoy, and I think it is kind of it's a kids movie, but it's too scary for my kids right now.
It's very dark. I saw it for the first time last year.
Yeah, it is very spooky. Yeah, it's too scary for my kids right now, so I can't introduce them to Coraline just yet.
100, we could just give them Underworld.
Yeah.
Straight no chaser. Then October 22nd, we got one of my favorites, Bram Stoker's Dracula, which Tanya has never seen.
I have never seen it, and I'm gonna wait to watch it.
I can't wait. And yeah,
our final spooky season, one of my favorites, is the Invasion of the Body Snatchers. I think it's 1978.
I've never seen that
movie. I love that movie. It is so creepy. The idea of body snatchers. I think with one of my favorite things about the horror movies that I like, sometimes it's just the concept is so scary to me. I think that's why Friday the 13th. I mean, not Friday the 13th. Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's why that's one of my favorites, because just the concept of being murdered in your dreams and how do you avoid that is like so terrifying. And so with Invasion of the Body Snatchers, just the idea that there are these things that come and take your place. And you know, that's
that's so similar to the episode of Twilight Zone we did last year, because I haven't seen it, but that's what it reminds me of. The
oh my god, mirror, do I have a body snatcher phobia?
You heard it here first.
I gotta sit with this and think about it. So yeah, so there's that. That'll be the October spooky season.
It says we have a book too. And we're doing a book because by then it'll be Indigenous Peoples Month, and we're going to do the collection of short stories called Never Whistle at Night.
Yes, so we have spooky stories that are by Indigenous writers, so we kind of get both spooky season and Indigenous Peoples History Month.
Oh, we're going in. We're going to be so tired.
We're going to be
Don't
exhausted.
ask us to do shit in November.
Yeah, so read Never Whistle at Night. It's a collection of short stories. Maybe we'll just talk about one. I don't think we've decided yet.
Yeah, I think there's one or two. There's one or two of them that kind of scare the shit out of me. But I'm waiting. Like I haven't finished it, so like we'll let y'all know which one or two. I think we should do like two.
Okay. And then Comic-Con season is here.
Comic-Con.
Hopefully, if you have not gotten tickets to Comic-Con, I think there's might be Thursday and Sunday left.
Last I looked, yeah.
Yeah,
Ooh,
Friday and Saturday
AK.
definitely sold out.
Can you please type in the lore behind that rule?
Oh, the never whistle at night.
Yeah, because I'm not familiar with it actually.
Oh no. Oh,
No.
we should save that for the thing.
Oh.
I've heard it before as well.
Well, then AK text. You know, I'm gonna see you in like 30 minutes, so we'll talk
Yeah.
about that later.
Yeah. I've like read lore about why you shouldn't whistle at night before. That's why that book stood out to me.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know about women not whistling in general in public. That I know, but not.
I got that one. But yeah, you're not supposed to whistle at night, and definitely not like in the dark in the woods.
I mean, but I feel like
something might respond.
But I feel like I would never. That's not something I would do unless I was like calling my dog back. And now I've just like you've unlocked a new level of horror for me.
Well, it's because it's ingrained in you already to not whistle in the dark. You just didn't realize it.
Yeah,
it was
until, like, right now. I was just like,
and you didn't realize it.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, I'm thinking of all the times I've ever been out in the woods and in the middle of the night, and the last thing I would do is whistle.
Because something might whistle back.
That made me nauseous a little bit.
I'm excited for spooky season. I'm about to start. I'm gonna watch
me too.
Scary today.
It's like
Comic-Con. If you're coming to Comic-Con, please look for me. I'm gonna be there all 4 days.
Maybe too. We'll see.
Nikki might be there all 4 days as well. We don't know yet, but look for us. DM us something. I love Comic-Con and I love meeting people and working out my schedule and all of that. They're going to drop the panel schedule soon, so I'm really excited. I'm bringing my friend's son on one of the days and he's super excited. I was going to bring my son, but I think that he's not old enough to appreciate it yet and he might get overwhelmed. So Comic-Con, New York, come find me.
Yeah. It's the other thing that I'm telling this to you now, and we should talk about it off here probably. Tanya and I have been, which I hope becomes like a regular hangout activity for us, co-watching things. We watched a really unhinged one about child abuse a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
But we're going to be watching the one about the chimps. The chimp.
Oh, yeah. Chimp Crazy?
Chimp Crazy? Yeah.
It's on HBO.
It's on HBO. So we're going to watch that. If you're interested in watching along with us, let us know. We'll start a WhatsApp group. Maybe not. Maybe
that might be too much work
already. But I love to start new things and not finish them. But yeah, so if you guys want to do a co-watch with us, we're going to do that one. I'm actually really looking forward to it because I don't like reality TV show because I love magic, but sometimes, like, if people are going to be out here like Serene in court, you just got to shake your head and be like, wow.
Yeah. We're going to co-watch that.
Well,
that's our stream. Thank you for joining us. Shout out to Nikki's blue wig.
That's what I decided is like for spooky season. I met with my boss like this the other day, and I was like, I'm just living my truth. I'm done.
Yeah, maybe I'll dress up for each one.
Because I'm gonna have it's spooky season.
Yeah,
spooky season has arrived.
And like I'm planning to cosplay for. I made this thing turn red again. I'm planning to cosplay for Comic-Con this year, which I never do. I always do like cosplay light. Like I wear a black dress with the hand of the Kingpin, or I just wear like a t-shirt or a hoodie from a fandom that I'm part of. But this year I have actually picked out 2 costumes. I'm still putting them together, but I have 2 ideas. So I'm going to cosplay Friday and Saturday.
You just reminded me I ordered one. It's on the way.
Oh, nice. So yeah, it's going to be my first time cosplaying for it, and I'm looking forward to it. So I guess I'll dress up each week for 30 Tuesdays. It'll be chaotic because Tuesdays, the children do not have anyone watching them while I'm streaming.
That'll be
Well,
fine.
maybe I'll dress them up too. Fuck it.
Oh my God, they'll love that.
Yeah.
Or, you know, Donut will for sure.
Yeah.
Donut will for sure. I think I've been to Brooklyn Comic Con and I've been to like Anime NYC, but I've never been to Comic Con proper. So I'm 100%. I was like, well, since I might be there doing something else very specific, maybe I won't. But I there's no way I'm going to recess. So I already have one costume under the belt. It's arriving, and I think I'm going to put together the second one based on some of the stuff that you chose.
Okay.
Because she just works. So yes.
I guess I should probably post about Comic-Con on Twitter. So if you follow us on Twitter, that is if you don't follow us on Twitter, rather, Thousand Eyes One, ONE. If you're listening, yes, I hear you crunching. If we're listening to this on the podcast, you'll hear the list of where to find us. If you're just watching, then I don't know, man. Look in our bio. Look at our link tree, linktree.com.
I got everything there.
/1000eyes1, and you'll find everything where to follow us. And yeah, I would love to see you all at Comic-Con. I think that would be really fun. I haven't seen anything Sanderson specific, unfortunately.
Well, that's because he has his own con.
Yeah, he does have his own con, and it sells out too fast. And it's a time of year.
I feel like we buried the lead with that.
Yeah,
Brandon Sanderson is so big that he has his own con.
Yeah, and it's like at a time of year that's just not
You said it sold out in like an hour, right?
Hmm?
It sold out in like an hour or something?
Something ridiculous. Like that, yeah.
Because I was trying to go, guys.
Yeah, it's not convenient. It's like a time of year that's not really convenient for me. I kind of have to do stuff in the summer.
And it's in Salt Lake City.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it's not
it's convenient. In December. It's in December.
That's why I said it's a time of year. I said I have to do stuff in the summer.
Yeah.
Because it's a time of year.
Got it.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to find a way. I'm not going to abandon hope. But yeah. So yeah, we're excited. We're going to be there. Look for the things. You know, real quick, shout out to the Wavies, the Wavy Awards organization, the Wavies.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, we were there last night. I had the great honor of presenting an award. The Wavies is an organization that supports and celebrates historically marginalized individuals in the music industry. So like the LGBTQIA community, women, disabled artists, just like it. And it was beautiful. It was a really, really beautiful.
I think it might be the most inclusive event I've ever been to.
Yeah. They had an interpreter. We had to self-describe when we got on the stage, so you knew exactly what people looked like for those who were visually impaired or had low vision. And I think absolutely the most inclusive award show I've ever seen. And they are the first one they're the first one, period, to make visual description or self-descriptions a part of the program. Right. So that was really cool. I met Blixunami, who's like a Black Mermaid man. Black Merman. I was super excited about that.
His pronouns were he, she, they, it.
And mermaid.
And mermaid. He, she, they, it, mermaid.
Love it. But yeah, it was really great. So shout out to the organizers of the Wavies, Shira and the Myth and Rebecca. Thanks for having me.
Okay, now that's our stream for real this time.
Okay. Have a great Sunday.
Have a great Sunday. Bye.
Read the book.